up, my podcast people?
Welcome back for our first official episode.
We hope you enjoyed our intro episode just as much as we enjoyed sharing a little bit about ourselves with all of you.
We are Motherhood Unhinged because we are, in fact, unhinged mothers.
Therefore, today we will be discussing all things new motherhood and infancy. We are your hosts, Chandra,
Courtney,
and Chelsea.
And we have several questions for you. So let's get right on into it.
Yes.
The first question for today is, what surprised you most about the newborn stage?
Oh. Hey, don't mind this. I just about spilled our coffee. Good God. Okay. Anyways. Who wants to start? You want to start?
Honestly, when I was thinking about this question, I didn't have one thing in particular, but then once I kind of looked over your notes, I realized how many things actually did end up surprising me.
Yeah.
But really, when I was thinking about it, it was the routine. Like, getting the grasp of how everything truly was going to work. I mean, in the beginning, you're on a tight schedule.
Oh, yeah.
And figuring out that, just when I got that whole list of things done, time to feed the baby again.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, getting the grasp of that.
I think especially the schedule whenever you're the sole provider as far as like a breastfeeding mom, because like our schedules are different than dad. You can't just warm up a bottle. Like, you're actually latched and attached. So
I like that saying.
Latched and attached.
the whole routine is like very demanding, you know? And
Well, and like us in particular, like not only the routine, but like it was a little bit more chaotic because at first, when we took our son home, like we had some rapid weight loss. I called Chan, Nurse Channy, and her husband, he's a doctor. They're my go-to people. I don't know how many times I called her crying because I'm like, what is happening? He lost so much weight. His bilirubin levels kept skyrocketing. So I've learned now that is very common. But just, we had to do a lot of extra things, supplementing. We'll go into all that, but just, it was a lot to grasp and a lot that I didn't think about. I'm like, we feed the
100%.
baby and everything's going to be great. But
everything about first-time motherhood is just surprising because it's not your norm.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's not what you're used to.
I was really surprised, like breastfeeding, like you were saying. I really feel for you mamas that had a really tough time. I really do, because she latched right away. It was, honest to God, so easy, and I don't know why I never did it before. I don't know if you guys had a problem with latching or anything like that.
I'm here for the anxiety-ridden moms.
Okay.
Langston latched, however, just with the weight loss, not knowing if he was getting enough, and then that like really hit me because I'm like, I think I'm feeding him. I think I'm doing good, but like I'm watching his weight decrease and decrease and decrease. So I'm like it was a mind game for me. Not knowing what he was getting, I felt like I was failing. So I actually only made it a month, and then we did have to supplement formula with the bilirubin.
Sure.
But then I started pumping a month in, and 10 months strong, mamas, you can do it.
So exclusively pumping is what she chose to do.
Yeah,
I thought it was crazy how natural, like IV attached immediately. As soon as we got to the post-op room, she just took.
Literally, as soon as Evie came out, she was like already sucking, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's ready to latch, mama." And I'm like, "I'm doing it." Okay, here we go. Because it's really funny about breastfeeding because I really think it really depends on where you're at in life. And since I was so young with Bentley, especially, but then I was relatively young. I think I was 24-ish, 25 maybe when Maverick came. There wasn't a lot of people around me doing breastfeeding, especially when Bentley was young. It was almost like a taboo topic. Like, it was not, and I hate to say that because it seems like breastfeeding, to me, it was so much more convenient and there was a lot of benefits to it, right? But I think it was one of the things why I didn't do it is because of the people around me. Nobody had kids around me. Nobody was talking about it. It was all like you can't do that in public. It's a weird, stuff like that. And I really wish I would have pushed through that, but I don't know.
It definitely helps having people that you can go to. Like, I think I asked you 1,000 questions. I had a couple other friends who I had to ask a couple questions to. I'm just like, it's not just as simple as latching them to me.
Right. Like, I've heard that several times. That's why I say I feel so bad for the moms that like had tongue ties and just had a really hard time because fortunately that was not my experience. So.
Well, nowadays with tongue ties, they don't want to do anything right away till they're older anyways. And so the baby has to adapt through that. Yeah. It's held off on snipping at the moment.
Oh, wow.
It's not as common as it used to be.
But just to clarify why we are on this topic, like, just because we have 2 breastfeeding mamas and then an exclusively pumping mom, like, if you are a formula mama, that is totally fine.
Fed. As long
That
as
is
they're
best.
fed and
Fed
they're safe
is
and healthy.
best.
That's right. I did both, so I have no qualms with either one. With Evie, to me, you pumping mamas, I could never. I tried it a few times. Not only did I was very shocked that your nipple could stretch like that to literally the ends of the earth. I'm not
crazy.
joking and not rip off. That was something that was pretty disturbing at the beginning, okay? But I only pumped a few times, and I don't know, to me, my lifestyle, of course, I didn't work or anything like that, so I know that makes a big difference with moms that are working and needing to pump, but just latching to me was so much more convenient. I did not have to worry about dragging around bottles.
At first. The nipple shields came in handy.
Yeah, that was
Otherwise, it felt like I was burning for a month long,
Oh
and then
my gosh,
finally
yeah.
got used to it. My
Yeah.
aunt's like, "Give it 3 weeks." I'm like,
Oh,
"It
it
still
definitely-
feels like it's burning."
It definitely hurt.
and bleeding and cracking. Oh my gosh.
Lanolin and nipple shields, key. Gotta do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I used a nipple shield, but I think Tori did too, and I've heard really good
It
things
was only
about
like
them.
the first week that we had tried to use it. And then pumping, like I was talking about back to the routine, it's like I was putting her to breast and then I was pumping afterwards just to see if I could get any more out. By far, not an overproducer. Like I was surrounded like in a NICU with all these moms and all these ladies pumping, and
Yeah.
overproducing was like this thing I seen all the time. And Ivy just must eat a lot. She's
I was
huge.
not an overproducer.
I
Oh, no.
produced just enough. Like
Yeah.
we survived to 14, 15 months and then just kind of weaned off. And I mean, it's like getting your body back again.
Right.
It was so nice.
Did you guys ever want to give up?
Sometimes the late nights, I think, just to continue, like every 2 to 3 hours would be like the same cycle.
same, yeah.
I felt like all I was doing was dishes.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh yeah, washing like
Pump
I said,
parts.
the pump parts. That's what literally is like. Yeah, I'd rather just
Washing and sterilizing.
put her to
every
the
single
put her to
night.
the boob.
Yeah.
because I don't want to wash the dishes.
You're like, I already got too much to do.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I hate doing dishes, and pump parts are the worst.
Yeah.
So I didn't give it to you.
I can't really say that I ever wanted to totally give up. However, and maybe she was just making me feel better, but a client of mine at the salon one day told me, you got to give yourself some credit because you're actually doing double time. Like not only
True.
are you pumping for your baby, but then you're taking the time later on to actually prepare and feed your baby. And I'm like,
Yep.
you're the
Bingo.
real MVP.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Thank you.
saying. And then society is not set up for moms. I don't understand how the school is open from 8 to 3 and jobs are set up from 7 to 4 or 8 to 6. I've never understood how families are supposed to have 2 working parents and children. It just is not set up like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole nother topic,
I
but
know it was hard, like being on the floor as a nurse, like if you're in charge of 3 babies and at the same time you're going to basically pump for your 4th baby, which is your baby at home, and it's just a continuous cycle. So it was just, my 12-hour shifts were like very, very long, and it's difficult. I know like in California they talk about they have like a pump relief nurse or a lunch relief nurse. And,
Really?
like, so that is helpful out there because here I would just have to go back and make up that work that I missed in that 30, 40 minutes of pumping.
yeah, that's
See, I'm a wearable. I be coloring hair at the salon and pumping at the same time, and my clients don't even know.
yeah, and probably don't care. I mean, your
Oh,
clients
for
seem
sure.
So, even
I
if
don't
they
know how
heard
many times in the beginning they might have been friends or whatever, but I'm like, can you hear that? And they're like,
Just don't knock them upside the head.
yeah.
Another thing that I thought was so strange, and I don't know if it happened to you guys while breastfeeding or pumping, my armpits reeked like
I
onions.
saw that
They
note, and I
were
actually
bad.
read that to my husband, and he's like, that happens? I'm like,
my gosh.
I don't know. I don't think
it
I
does.
went long enough to know.
I feel like
Oh my
there's
gosh,
a
it was
different odor, like a BO, like a something that your body just excretes. And it's like you need to feel like you need to shower. I felt like I needed to shower 5 times a
Oh,
day.
100%.
I just remember sweating and sweating and sweating.
Profusely.
Yeah.
It was gross.
And it's
And
like,
you
why
were
am
in
I
the
so
thick
hot?
of, I mean, obviously you breastfed since Ivy was born in December, but I feel like you were in like the thick of it when, of course, she's growing and she's getting bigger and heavier and it's a little more difficult and inconvenient. But I remember multiple times, like that first summer, Chandra's just like surviving.
Yeah.
Like sweating.
Isn't that like the first like at least year of motherhood is surviving? And that was another one of my answers. We keep looking at our notes. People, listen, our brains barely function enough to get through the day.
Mom
We're
brain.
not gonna remember this stuff. Okay. Another thing that I had said is I thought it was extremely crazy, and I didn't think about it at the time, obviously, but now looking back, how our bodies just kind of survive without sleep. I mean, I know there's a lot of caffeine intake. Okay.
We
But
got it
wow.
today.
Yeah.
Scooters for the shout out for me today.
I did that cool Alani and protein drink. You mix it on TikTok right now. Big thing. It's really good. But yeah, I just thought it was so strange to think about how we would wake up every 2 to 3 hours, and then you're up for the day, and you're just like on fumes, but
Yeah.
somehow still making it work.
I give
That's
a huge
crazy.
shout out to my husband because he got up with me every single time that I got up.
That is so cool.
We always
I hear a
joked
lot
about
of
that
that.
because like Trent did that, and then I was on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I was like, no, he has to work tomorrow, so I would just get up by myself. And so each of us have a different
Yeah.
I don't know.
go with that.
I don't know. It was awesome.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And no way's right. Okay, we're just talking about our experiences, just like we've said. But I was on the same boat as you.
I knew
That's
you
a whole
couldn't
nother
feed her.
topic.
I knew
but
you couldn't
yeah,
feed her.
couldn't
but
do anything.
So
Why wake them up?
sometimes, like whenever I'd be, because let's normalize and make a shout out that postpartum depression is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
And I feel especially like as a pumping or breastfeeding mom, like you're awake, you're doing it by yourself because the dad can't feed. And it's just like a lonely time period, you know? Mm-hmm. And so like Trent got up with you, but like I would try and get up with her by myself. And it's just like you just sit there in your thoughts. And
Oh yeah.
nothing like grim or scary like ever crosses your mind, but it's just that dark, lonely time, you know?
And I think we go into that here in the next few questions.
But that's even
Further,
just
but-
in general. Like, even though my husband did get up with me every single time that I got up, for the most part, I mean, there were times. And now, actually, if I want to really get technical, now we've kind of swapped places. Because, yeah, I would sleep on the side of the bed with Langston and the bassinet next to me. And so you're hearing all those noises. You're doing the soothing through the night. You're doing all the things. While my husband's snoring next to me. Yeah, he got up to feed him, but I was the one up most of the time.
Right.
Now that we've swapped, and he's in his crib in his own room, if the baby's crying, Trent's the first one up. So, I mean,
That's so cool.
I have
I've
the
lucked
monitor
out.
on my side, so I'm always the first one, like awake.
I have it up on my phone, and then Trent has the monitor on his side.
Oh, see, that's where we differ. It's speaking of anxiety, like you said earlier, I don't know what it is, but I've had terrible anxiety with the fact, I don't know this. Okay, I have to tell this specific thing because this is literally what it is, and I don't know why. Maybe you can diagnose me, doc. But Evie is still in our room. She has her own crib, but she's in our room. I have always been terrified of asphyxiation. I don't know why. I am so scared that I'm not going to be able to hear them if they need me. There was one time that Maverick literally was in our room, and thank God he was, but he started throwing up, and he did not turn over. He just laid
that
there
would be scary.
and was throwing up. Now, he was older, so I don't think he would have. It's just the thought. And since that's happened, I'm paranoid. So I give
get
you
that.
guys props for having them in their own room. Cause
I think once you get her in her own room, though, a little bit of that like anxiety actually does go
Once
away.
you get
Probably.
in, like, the rhythm of it, and, like, there's not a night that before I actually end up going to bed, I don't go in Langston's room, put my hand on his back, make sure he's breathing.
Yep.
I do a little pray over him because, duh. And then, hold on, lost my train of thought.
that happens a lot.
But no, seriously. And then once I get in the room, I'm zooming on the monitor.
That's what I do.
Making
Oh,
sure
100%.
that I see that breathing
Yep.
multiple times.
And
a
if I
night, too.
can't see it, I just walk across the house and I go
Yep.
check.
100%.
Back to the sleeping part of it, and in order to divvy up some jobs, our solution of that was I'll start like warming the bottle of the pump milk, or now we've moved on to whole milk, I'll start warming that, and Josh will change your butt for me. So
Oh, yeah, there you
it's
go.
like splitting it half and half, and
Yeah.
just that makes a whole difference, because when
Oh,
you're waiting on a bottle for
100%.
5 to 6 minutes, I don't want to carry her out of the room because then she's awake, and
Yep. Minimal
sim.
movement.
I
Low
think
sim.
one reason though too that Trent started getting up with me is because once Langston was going through the whole bilirubin and everything, we were having to supplement formula, and he was breastfeeding. We were having an issue with that. We were having to actually supplement formula in a syringe. And,
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And so just trying to get him to take. I mean,
Yeah,
now
makes sense.
I think back now, and it feels like forever ago, and I'm looking at a syringe with like this much, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, they say their stomachs are literally like that big. Because
So like a marble, the size of a marble,
Yeah, that's
basically,
crazy.
is
That's
enough
wild.
food and enough colostrum. Their
Yeah.
beginning days of feeding.
Yeah, that's
but
I
moms
was
are
always
like I said,
worried.
Think they need to give more and more.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was me. I'm like, we gotta feed. Time to feed.
Yep.
He's not eating enough. And actually, shout out to our cousin. Her mom, when I was explaining this to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I was the same way." She's like, "But do you know what my mom told me?" And I literally told her this the other day that I still think of this in my head when I feel like Langston isn't eating enough. She's like, "Do you eat the same amount every time you sit at the dining room table?" And
True.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And here we expect them to
Yeah.
take 6 ounces on the clock. You know what I mean?
Right, 100%.
Like
I mean, they're
crazy.
going to tell you when they're hungry. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a little tough because they'll eat a little bit here, and you're like, you should probably eat more. And then an hour, and you're like, okay, I really need you to eat more so I can get more than just sweeping 2 hairs off the floor done.
Yeah.
But
And then I did want to circle back to you guys were talking about just being alone when you were breastfeeding. I could not imagine that. However, like, shout out to the moms who just have postpartum depression or anxiety. I didn't have so much the depression, but the anxiety was real. And I would sit on my couch, literally in tears, look at my husband, and I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be happy, and like I'm just not happy.
Yeah,
and
100%.
he
Exactly
was
how I
so.
felt.
He's like, what can I do? Like, is
Yeah.
it me? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like we have.
It's
I
like
don't know.
I should be so happy right now. I have this beautiful life. I have this great family, this great support system. But like I told Josh, I'm like, I can't even articulate why I'm sad.
Yeah.
But I'm
I
not like
cannot
sad,
tell
but I'm
you.
like feel sad. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
it's the weirdest thing.
And I
It's
think
so
we
weird.
I think you answer more in depth than that a little bit later too. But I think the last thing I had wrote down for this question was that just like literally as soon as your baby gets put on your chest, the love, I could cry right now. Thinking about it because you don't, to me, you really don't understand like unconditional love versus Jesus. Clearly Jesus literally died. Okay. So that's like true unconditional, but here on earth, the only true love that I really have felt is when I had kids. It's, I just can't explain it.
It's
I don't know if you
this
guys saw
weird
that a while
thing.
ago,
It's
but
just
I looked at
given
my
to
arm
you.
because I've got goosebumps.
I mean, truly, I don't know. I don't know
It's like
how to
this
explain it.
life is given. It's like this, the biggest gift, you know,
Yeah.
besides life that we could be given.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know. It's astounding. Like
It's
the
different
feeling.
than your partner love because you're choosing to love someone, right?
Yeah, the instant connection and the instant like, oh, what the
Yeah.
hell am I supposed to do with this thing?
Yeah.
You know, like how we just grasp it
Yeah.
and how we like run with it.
And how scared you are in
Women
the
and
hospital.
moms are
as soon
just
as you leave, like I was
BA.
like, is there a
Yeah.
is there a class I can take before I leave the hospital?
I know. I'm like, you're letting me leave with this child,
this
and I'm just supposed to know. I'm just supposed to know now. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know, guys. The
That's what I'm
minute,
saying.
seriously, there are no words. Like,
really don't
And
understand it until
everybody's
you have it.
feeling and birth experience is different. Like with your first infant loss and then getting him, I'm sure it was a whole different
Oh,
feeling.
I'm sure there was
than
a
Chelsea
whole-
getting
yeah,
like her
we were
first,
a
second,
C-
and third as a young mom, and then me getting my first in my mid 30s. You know,
Yeah.
like just a whole different thing.
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
That's like I said, I don't know. But do we want to go on to
I
the
used
next
to always
question?
ask my mom growing up, how like does it feel to like become a mom? And she's like, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just a love you can't explain. And
You can't.
I didn't understand that. And then it's
But
like,
now she always asks us. She's like, "Now
Now
do
you
you
get
get it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
yeah.
And I'm like,
100%.
So kind of circling back, one of our notes we were going to talk about was the sleep deprivation, and like Chelsea said, coffee, and more coffee.
Yeah, literally. I was going to say, I think we pretty much touched on a lot of that.
About getting the naps in.
Yeah, the only thing,
Let's
other
hear
thing
everybody's
is
side
naps.
of this.
I'm a napper, dude. I'm a fat napper. I will take a nap at
Oh.
any point during the day. I don't care.
heard sleep when the baby sleeps. You best believe it. I
100%.
don't know what everybody else's take is, but I get the whole like put them down or else they're gonna be attached and blah blah blah. give me a contact nap
Yes.
all day, every day. Like,
I don't think, is that even a thing? Like, scientifically, can you really be holding a baby too much?
So holding the baby, no, but contact naps are bad for the sake of possibly like the oxygen deprivation,
Okay,
the baby falling.
yeah.
Like we all twitch when we're falling asleep.
Sure.
Babies have.
I get that.
fallen.
Let me say that when I would do it, Trent was right there.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Somebody was paying attention. It wasn't
because
just you at
that
home by
was
yourself.
always a fear of mine, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, I napped a lot when Langston would nap.
I love naps. I've always loved the naps, though. So, I mean.
So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum on this. I cannot sleep if it's daylight. I can't sleep like anytime during the day. My cycle is literally just sleep at night. So like sometimes Josh takes naps in the middle of the day. I can't do it. I'm wide awake doing work the entire time.
That doesn't surprise me.
In
with you.
Ivy's like almost 18 months of life, I can count on less than a handful, less than 5 times that I've ever slept while she's napped or fallen asleep.
And I get that it's hard too. I know there's a lot of moms out there that really like her, either like Chandra, you just really can't, or there's some things that you truly need to get done and you use that time instead of napping, or maybe your baby, by the time you fall asleep, your baby's awake again. I get that. It's not possible for everyone and it's not good for every nap. I mean, every nap that I tried to get didn't work.
Right.
But I was, like I said, I've been a
so
fat napper since
exhausted. It
school.
just
So
won't
See,
not
I've
work.
never been a napper, but
Love it. Love naps.
that sleep deprivation through the night, I'm like, oh,
I would
maybe it's
pray to
yeah.
fall asleep, and it just, my brain does not allow me to do it.
I remember I remember multiple Snapchats coming in at like 11, midnight, 1 o'clock, and I'm like, why is she awake? What is
So-
she doing? She should be. I know her baby's sleeping. She
Yep.
sent me a Snapchat of her sleeping already. What is she doing?
crazy.
The first probably 5 months, I feel like I think it drove Josh crazy. I probably was not in bed until between like midnight and 1.
Yep, I remember that.
I'd be up doing the dishes, and I'm like, now I have such a good cycle of it. Like, we're literally, kids are in bed, everything's washed, done by 9. And I'm like, I think before she would get up again to eat at like 11.
Yeah.
And so then it's like delayed the whole pumping again and then the dishes. So like our
Yeah.
cycle was just late.
And that pumping right after too. I mean, what, you
So
got to pump
my-
for at least 30 to 45 minutes,
So
right?
it'd be an hour total for like
Ugh.
breastfeeding and pumping and then doing the dishes.
That's wild.
And I was like, I can't do this like this late anymore. I need sleep because I wouldn't nap during the day.
I mean, they say that, well, at least from what I've researched and seen, that you're really supposed to try your best to get 4 uninterrupted hours, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, because like the your
4
lactation
hours.
consultants will tell you like if you're going to minimize
minimum.
anything,
Yeah.
1 pump is like all you want to drop at night,
At night.
if you want to try and get a little bit more sleep.
Which makes sense. I mean, your body really needs it. I mean, people literally go insane if you don't get enough sleep. I mean, that's been studied.
Well, and moms are
So-
healing at that time. Like, not
Yeah.
only like are we trying to get sleep to catch up, but our bodies are still healing. Like, I underwent a C-section. You've done C-sections. You've done C-sections.
Yeah, I think all of us did.
Yeah. So like your body is still healing.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a major surgery. Like one of the biggest surgeries you can have.
So I think that actually takes us into our next topic, if I'm being honest. What is the truth about postpartum recovery that nobody told you about? And I mean, all of us being C-section mamas, like, excuse me, how badass the female body is.
Truly. Truly. I mean, that's
Like-
literally one of the biggest surgeries you can have. I mean, doesn't it cut through
7 layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
I know that
insane.
even though we're all C-section mamas, everybody's C-section was different. I know that we
Each
were
different.
total opposite.
By like, what do you mean?
Like,
Your first one, you were put completely under.
my first one, when we lost our first son, I was
Okay.
put under. That one was really just different in and of itself because obviously I wasn't present and that was the best choice for me.
Right.
Trent couldn't be with me because when you are put under, the dad can't be with you. But I also think that was the best for him.
I was about to say, I think,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have an opinion, but I think that was great that at least
Yeah.
you weren't awake and him not be with you. Cause I think
Yes.
that would have been even
And
worse.
literally our doctors, nurses, everybody that we dealt with were phenomenal.
I love
and
that.
again, I will touch base on all things about our first baby in another episode.
We'll
one
probably
day.
dedicate an entire episode to it because there's a lot. I think I don't even know all of the
I don't
ins
know
and
that
outs.
anybody knows all the ins and outs other
Yeah.
than family.
I was going to
maybe.
say maybe Chan over here.
Yeah. But
Which she's a prior, so that does not surprise me. She probably was like, "What's going on? What's going on? Can I be in there? I need to be the doctor. Let me see you. Are you doing that right? Did you
I
cut
was
it right?"
getting messages every appointment.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first grandbaby. Like,
I mean, it makes
on my
sense.
mom's
And
side,
you're
so-
also in the medical field, so
Yeah. But like Chandra and I were just total opposites. So that was my first experience. But I was saying just shout out to our nurses and doctors because we were able to make the decisions that were best for us because of the treatment we got and how informative they were. And they will forever hold a special place in my heart. I reached out to them all after our first
love
one,
that.
a few months after everything. And actually some of them got to be with me for our second baby, and literal angels. And they
love
know who
that.
they are. They're phenomenal. But talking about our C-section, I was thriving in C-section number 2. I mean, we were
Truly.
listening to music. My husband always jokes because I can't even remember what song, but he could probably come rolling in and tell you.
Oh, of course.
But Rihanna. We were listening to Rihanna when Langston entered this world.
Yeah.
And we're conversating the whole time. They're asking me questions. I am thriving. Honestly, up until Langston was here, which I always laugh about my C-section because my husband said, hey, I hope you're okay, but I'm not going to watch. Like, I just can't watch my loved one go under that. 5 seconds in, he's like,
What's going on?
oh my gosh, you should see this. This is what they're doing. I'm like, don't tell me. I don't
Please
want to
shut
know
up.
anything.
I can look at anything medical, like pictures, videos, but then Josh took video or like pictures of our section.
Yeah.
I was
Coolest
accidentally
thing.
looking at the pictures in his phone one time because he was like showing me something he had bought, and I came across my open abdomen. Can't do it.
Really?
It's something about my body. Like, I remember going through all my foot surgeries. I would get nauseous looking at my own foot.
See, I've heard that a lot about,
Like your family, like you can't see your loved ones.
yeah, that or like just because for whatever reason, I can't get blood drawn without being sick. And it's not the fact of the needle, okay? The little prick of the needle doesn't bother me. It's like my body knows
It's
that
leaving your body.
the blood is leaving, and that's when I start to sweat, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. Hulk, can you hurry up? If you get to 3rd vial, we're doing good, because if I'm not passed out by then, wow. But I don't know what it is. It's just that. It's not the pain. It's like my body knows it's leaving, even if I'm not paying attention, even if
Yeah,
I'm just,
I think knowing
It
the
can't.
flow.
My
I just
postpartum
can't do it.
recovery was just, my section was not like, everything was smooth. Ivy was like stuck up in there. So I remember Josh saying like, they're up there pushing her down, pushing her out. But she screamed the whole hour they were closing me up. So that was interesting because I'm laying there on the table. I can't do anything.
Right.
They have a nasal cannula in my nose, which not all moms get. I have a nasal cannula, and I'm awake, and then all of a sudden, I'm just, like, loopy. And I remember her being born, and Josh being like, oh, here's our daughter. And he's like, you just kind of just, like, looked at her and just kind of looked away. And
That
it's like-
lasted for a while too.
And I was just, like, I was there, but I just felt, like, out of control, out
Yeah,
of body kind of
100%.
experience.
I feel like that was me on the 3rd one, too. The first one, like you said, the 2nd and 3rd one was not the pain to me, and the recovery really didn't seem bad.
The
It was the
massages
first
were
one.
awful every hour.
Oh,
That was
After.
bad.
Oh, my
Or
God.
Oh yeah, that was
sneezing.
bad. Oh yeah, that was bad. But I feel like it didn't hurt as bad the second two. That was uncomfortable no matter how many times I think you do it. But like as far as going home and dealing with the soreness and stuff, I didn't.
Yeah.
I never took any of the pills.
I never took
none of
anything
that.
either. I didn't even pick
Yeah.
him up. But I'm just like, it's just like the strain, like getting out of bed.
Oh,
like
oh for sure.
or like we talked about as far as like postpartum recovery, the thoughts, the anxiety, like
I was gonna say that was the next thing, the anxiety. See, and you had mentioned that you really never had dark thoughts.
never really had the dark thoughts. It was more just so like the lonely.
The
lonely
isolation,
feeling. Yeah.
which is, if you're a social person like you have always, I mean, I think we've all been social people. That really hits. That hits hard sometimes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's like you don't want to. Let's go into like the burden.
Yeah.
It's like you have these lonely thoughts, but you don't want to burden anybody
want
to come like sit with you,
Yeah.
or they're at work, so you can't really
You
call and
can't.
talk to them
Yep.
because it's like, God bless like our families who have been so helpful like with our kiddos, but you don't want to push them off onto
Right.
people, you know.
100%. That's when the
So-
mom guilt comes
the
in.
mom
I
guilt.
mean, that hits you heavy. It's insane. I don't think, and I know that postpartum depression, I don't think I necessarily really got like too far into that. Thank God. But there was, and when I say dark thoughts, it wasn't something that I was ever going to act on, but it was when you get like super frustrated or you're super sad and you have nobody around, because you know, I don't really have family here. I have close friends and stuff, but like you said, then it goes into the burden side of it and not wanting to ask for help. And then you're just kind of stuck there. And when you can't, then you start feeling, like you were saying, you feel bad if you can't get your baby to like calm down, or you're not feeding enough. So then they're just crying constantly, and you're like, to the point where you just have to set them in their bed where they're safe, and you walk outside and just literally fall to your knees and be like, God, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
This is tough and I need some help.
Yeah.
But
well, one side of that, you have burden. And I feel like on the other side of it, what I struggled with, I don't really want to say burden because like the family's so open all the time to helping.
Sure.
But like your mom guilt doesn't want to ask.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
It's the trust.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know. I've seen so many things like in the hospital setting that like my trust in other people. I mean, I know my mom raised me fine, and I know like Courtney, we've grown up our whole life together, but it's like people that you weren't raised up from the beginning up with. It's like trusting them. Like, are they going to do things my way? Are they going to
knowing that they're going to do exactly how you do it.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many scary stories nowadays, like with parents trusting people to watch their kids, and then it doesn't happen, you know?
And thank God. I mean, that's one thing about Chan you'll learn is that she ain't afraid of confrontation, and she ain't afraid to ask questions. So as soon as you told me about them having openings at the daycare that your daughter goes to, I was like, dude, I don't even have to stop. I don't have to go through this place because I know she done did. And I know that there's probably a lot of people that were annoyed with as much as she was wanting to know, because that's just how Chandra is. But I mean, you have to be, when it comes to your kids, you have to be, you have to not be afraid to ask the questions and be confrontational, because that really could save your kid's life. Yeah. In certain situations.
Yep. Life or death not life or death situations, but life or death choices.
Yes.
And like, it's our responsibility to make those.
Yeah.
There was a lot of factors that went into me choosing this daycare, and like, I was ecstatic and like felt so like God literally granted me my wish whenever 100%. They posted that.
I feel that same way about our daycare. We were on a list for one, and then ours last minute opened up where we are now, and
it's crazy how things happen like that, and it truly is just a blessing. I mean, you really have to really praise God, because I mean, for 2 years I stayed at home, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I really just planned on staying home until she started school, which started to become a lot.
I feel like you lose yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, true, you do lose yourself, and that's another thing that people don't talk about is you're kind of in a way, you're literally giving up your life for somebody else's. And I mean, I think it should be like that to a certain degree. I don't think you should completely lose yourself, because that's when people like really can't get out of the trenches sometimes.
I don't think anybody completely wants to lose themselves. I think it unintentionally occurs though.
Unintentionally, for sure.
Because you see, like, my daughter will not let me walk 2 steps without screaming my name and for me. And it's like, I don't want it to be like that.
100%.
I want to, thrive and be alive, but I'm also a mom. Yeah. But like, it's like, you got to get
that's their default button.
Yeah.
Their default is us.
Yeah.
I think about a month ago is actually when like I hit my unintentional little bit of losing myself, I guess you'd say. I actually cried to my husband one day because I'm just like, I just feel overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. It's just like, I'm the one pumping, I'm the one nourishing, I'm doing all these things. Granted, he is a phenomenal dad, but like, I felt like I'm doing all these things, and I need a me moment. I'm on the verge. Like, we've made it 10 months of exclusively pumping, and in a way, I'm like, I'm gonna make it to a year. I can do it. Right. That's my goal. But you're just thinking, oh, when I get my body back, what is this going to feel like? It's going to be a whole new, like, me. But I was just overwhelmed one day and telling him about all of this. And I guess the very next day, my mom and our younger sister invited me to go do something. And I'm like, no, like, it's fine. Mom guilt. I didn't want to leave. Of course. And Trent looked at me and he's like, you literally just cried.
Me and Josh had that conversation. We're like, why is she saying no?
Like, get out.
Go away.
It was like pulling teeth to get me to leave, but I did it, and it was good. I needed that.
Oh, 100%.
I think I could count on like one hand how many times I have left Langston's side since he was born, because I'm the same way. I don't like to ask people.
Oh, no. And I think that's...
Is it crazy, though, how natural it is for, like, moms to feel like they're always have to be present? Mm-hmm. But, like, the dads just, like, kind of still go about their life and their work. And it's like...
Well, I think that's...
How does that happen?
I think that's really... If you really sit back, like, if we go into the Bible about it, I mean... They were literally made to provide. Like, that's what's ingrained in them, or should be. I know not all dads are like that. Okay, unfortunately, I hope you're not dealing with that. Okay, but for the most part, that's so. Just like it's ingrained in us to be the caretaker, house taker, all that good stuff. I think it's just naturally ingrained in them to make sure that things are taken care of financially, and making sure you have a roof over your head, and making sure that, you know, when we're starting to lose it, that they're the problem solvers, even though sometimes we don't want the problem solved. We just want you to listen. Okay. Sometimes we just want you to listen. But I think that's just naturally in them to, like, okay, there's a problem. You're crying. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I know that's how Brandon is. And sometimes I'm like, babe, listen, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want a solution. I don't care if you're like, okay, this could be easily fixed. I don't want it. I just want you to listen.
Yeah.
Let me complain. Okay.
Duct tape. And headphones.
And he's gotten it, and he's, you know, after you, like, really sit and have a conversation about it, they get it. But I think that's just what's ingrained in dads.
Once you have that come to Jesus, Trent is 100%
reminds me of
a provider.
Every Wednesday, we were going, like, Wednesday church in Cape. Mm-hmm. We went to the open service part of it, like, with the whole congregation thing. But they were doing, like, Bible studies. But then there's, like, different... groups you can join. So we did the marriage one because we're like, we've been married a year, like this would be cool to like meet some fresh people. And quick to listen, slow to speak was like our lesson. Mm-hmm. And one day I'll have to share the book and the video that we watched because it was like phenomenal and hilarious. Like I think all new couples need to watch it and read it because like we were just plugged into it. Right. But that was like one of our lessons was quick to listen, slow to speak. So I mean, still really, like always think about that.
And marriage is just, that's a whole nother topic on its own we'll get into, but it's tough when you have kids. I mean, that, if you're not willing to put in the work, you'll fall apart
hit it
fast.
On the head when she said overstimulation because
oh my gosh, and overtouched out.
I say overstimulated probably like a dozen times during the week. I'm like, I need a moment.
I have one child. You have 4, and I get overstimulated.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's hard,
especially walking into it.
Walking into 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think we kind of did. The next question was going to be breastfeeding versus formula. How do you decide what's best? I think we kind of touched on it.
Whatever
was there anything
works
else?
For you.
Yeah, I mean,
there is no right.
No, there's really not. I think I kind of leaned more on the advocacy of at least trying breastfeeding, just because I regret not doing it with the boys. That's just my take on it. I think you should at least try, maybe. Yeah. And there's so many benefits. Like if they're getting sick, your body it's incredible. If you've never looked into it, your body literally starts producing the vitamins and all this things that need
natural nutrients that are self-tailored to that child.
I will tell you the other day, Josh actually pointed out that Ivy had like less ear infections and less like congestion colds
when she was breastfeeding.
He's like, the only thing that changed was she quit breastfeeding, right?
Yeah. Isn't it insanity?
Instantly. But it's hard to also separate that because shortly after, we didn't wean off yet, but like we had started her in daycare at the same time too.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And that's the big one. Like there's always going to be snotty kids and germs and
snotty all the time. Just when we get Langston not snotty, give it a week.
There's a new virus. Yeah. It's a new one.
Which, I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, their bodies are figuring it out.
They'll build up. Yeah, they'll get better. Yeah. So what about, since it's all about like new motherhood and infancy, what about the whole control of visitors and like who you choose to be in your circle, like with your kids?
So I kind of did both too. With Evie, I said no. Like this is gonna be mine and Brandon's time. I really don't. The boys came, obviously. That's their sister. And then his mom came just because she was watching them, obviously. But they were the only ones that came, and
we've been
really
wish
forever.
We didn't even know.
I really wish I would have. Yeah, I really wish I would have kept it the same with the boys. I think that is an incredible bonding time for you and your partner and the baby. Mm-hmm. And I had a butt ton of visitors with Bentley, especially because I was so young, and all the friends and all the people that I don't even talk to anymore were there, right? Yeah. So I didn't have that time with him. And then Maverick, we had, pretty much close family, and you guys came. But that was, with Evie, I don't know. I don't think you will ever regret not having anybody, but I think you will regret having too many people. That's just my opinion.
We did immediate family, like just
And that
super
makes
close
sense.
people.
That makes sense. I just don't have immediate family. So, yeah.
Solo
yeah.
Chelsea.
So,
It's
we're your
fun.
immediate.
I'm a little different. I'm a little bit of a charity case. Okay.
You're our charity case. We are your family.
That
Somebody
means
claims
she's
me.
our problem.
True, true.
In the good times and bad, so don't forget it.
Yeah.
We
But I
married her.
will say, though we had, I feel like, a decent amount of visitors. I come from a big family. I mean,
Pretty big.
yeah. We do have a lot of people in our circle,
Yeah.
just as far as family. But really, no friends came to the hospital for our second son. But when we got home, it was kind of a different ball game. Like, I didn't mean to step on toes, but like that was my time, our time, trying to figure out motherhood, trying to figure out what
Breastfeeding.
life looked like now as the family of 3 present, figuring out breastfeeding, figuring out the schedule, the routine. I became way more anxiety ridden than I ever thought. I thought she was going
I
to be.
thought she was psycho for a while. I'm like, are you okay? I'd be like, you need to like take some Xanax. You
Talking
know?
about my cousin again, we joke all the time when we're together about how chill you are. We're like, of the 3 of us, Chandra's the chill one.
They're breathing. They're fed. They have a bed to sleep in. At that point, I was like, I'm just gonna take
I'm
care of
like,
the baby.
don't
We're all
touch.
gonna survive this.
No, truly.
Seriously, and we had Langston in August, so I mean, right around the corner was flu season, sick
Oh, yeah.
season.
Ugh.
So I was just like,
Winter season's
"You touching my baby?"
awful when you have a newborn. Oh, I hated winter season. I thought Evie came at such a better time than the boys. Both of the boys came directly in the middle of winter. So you had to worry about all that. And then you had RSV and all this stuff. I
Yeah.
hated it. Evie came in like springish. So
Ivy
I went directly into
was
summer, which was so much better.
Right after Christmas, and I actually was like one of the, I guess, the first cohorts to get the RSV vaccine that they started giving the pregnant mothers. And I honestly feel like that.
You got that?
Yeah.
Really?
I honestly feel like I read all the pamphlets. I felt
Another
like it,
topic.
Yeah, I felt like it actually cut back. Like we had no respiratory illnesses.
Really?
Yep, her whole first year of life, not a
Interesting.
one.
Interesting. Science?
Yeah.
I will
Pretty incredible.
say Langston really didn't have a lot of major stuff either, but maybe it's because I was so protective. Maybe it's because I
Yeah.
didn't have visitors.
Yeah.
We did tell
Or
a
maybe
lot
you're
of
feeding
people
them
no.
breast milk. I mean, who knows?
We were high risk, and we had to deliver in St. Louis in case we had to dodge to the NICU right away. And so we had thought about limiting like the visitors and just
Yeah.
having me and Josh. And it ended up like we had family come up there for the birth part of it. And then they brought me my beloved Subway that I was so heavily craving my entire pregnancy. I was literally, I
the
said, I want
first
Subway.
food.
So they went to Subway while I was in the OR, and then they all met Ivy, and then they left, and then it was literally me and Josh up there the rest of the time. And some nights Josh is like, they're leaving? Like, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
And-
That's another thing. You always forget the things that you truly enjoy when you can't have them anymore.
Oh, yeah.
My first
I
meal
love the
was,
deli meat.
My first meal was sushi. Compliments of Josh,
Sushi.
actually. He brought me sushi to the
You know what?
hospital.
I always said I wanted sushi, but I think I ended up getting a Subway sandwich too.
Subway.
I don't know what it was about Subway,
Lunch
dude.
meat.
Oh my! I'm a sucker for a good sandwich.
And I
though.
know that people don't do the whole not eating things when they're pregnant.
Sure.
And that's fine.
you do. I'm
You
not worried about
do.
as long as you're healthy and your baby's healthy. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
It is a wild time when you're inpatient and you have all this, like, they're pumping you with fluids, like, you're possibly undergoing anesthesia or something. Like, I feel like they gave me something because I felt loopy all of a sudden. And so
Can I just tell you real quick, because this just cracks
What?
me up, that Chandra being loopy, and like we just know who she is, so just seeing her in this was totally different for me. But this was probably like 2, maybe 3 hours postpartum, having
I have
Ivy,
no idea what she's gonna say.
and the nurse comes in to talk to Chandra about whatever, new motherhood, and this is Chandra. Nurse walks out, and I'm like, Chandra, are you good? Are you with us? And she's like, yeah. Why? I said, did you understand a word that the nurse just told you? Yeah. I'm like, who is she?
You should have
I
recorded
looked-
that.
what I told her with the situation was like, I'm like, I work with babies. Like, I'm in this environment. Like, I know, like, I didn't have to have a full conversation because I already knew, like, what she
But
meant.
you were on one.
I remember telling him that my legs were crossed because I couldn't feel them. or move them.
Yeah, she couldn't move for like.
It was 5 a.m. the next morning when I'm finally like, I'm gonna get up, walk, and take this fully out.
Oh my gosh, I was
They,
moving.
they were having.
instantly.
Maybe we should
I
have,
feel
have
like-
like a
100%.
pregnancy episode because I had
The worst
Like,
pregnancy.
it was
You
awful.
did have a really rough one.
I know. And Josh was like, "You want to do it again?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'd like another baby." But it was awful.
You want another baby?
I do want another baby.
I mean, I say that, and I'd really like to have another baby, but it's probably a good thing I got my tubes removed. I don't think I need any more gas.
Oh God.
Oh,
I think
man.
so. I guess what I was going back to was like you're so, I don't want to say drugged up because like I didn't take any of the narcotics or anything like that, but your mind is just so foggy. You have so much overwhelming feelings and emotions going through your head. Like pre-plan that pregnancy time.
Yeah.
I remember whenever I was talking to Courtney and I said, "Do you have a birth plan?" And she goes, "A birth plan?" I said, "Yeah, have they not asked you like what your plan is for like birth?"
And I
when you go
asked
in?"
my doctor, I'm like, do I need a birth plan? And he's like, not unless you truly want one. I said, I mean, I trust you. And he's like, cool.
Cool. So we're just
The
going to have a
smaller
baby.
hospital
I
you
mean,
just
but I
walk into
knew
and
we
deliver
were
a
doing a
baby.
scheduled C-section.
At
And
that
I mean,
point, yeah, I think it's different.
the nerves when you have a scheduled C-section, crazy. I remember being in pre-op and Trent's talking. And I looked at him and I said, I cannot talk to you right now. I was like shaking. I was so
yeah.
nervous. And then we roll up in there. They're getting ready for the spinal, and they're like, what kind of music do you like? I'm like, okay, this is what kind of party this is. So they put on a mix and away we go.
And away we go.
Just I think that pre-planning and the open communication, especially if we're going about visitors. So I think basically that like sums up all of our things on new motherhood and infancy. We went over sleep, deprivation, routines, how our life dramatically changes, visitors and boundaries.
Isolation, the thoughts,
Breastfed, birth formula.
Kind of just all the questions. We pretty much just found some, I don't know, like
Main
frequently asked questions type thing and just kind of went off that.
So if you have any other things that you feel like are big high touch points, definitely let us know.
Or if you'd want to,
Go ahead.
if you want to share yours,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'd love to hear like what worked for you guys. What
didn't work,
Yeah.
why you chose to do something or why you didn't choose to do something. I mean, let's get the conversation rolling. That's why we're here.
Let's do it.
But until next time, we are
Motherhood Unhinged.